Welcome to a place where the mysterious becomes the unforgettable. This metaphysical journey explores hauntings, UFOs, extraterrestrials, cryptozoology, and everything the paranormal world has to offer. Each week, guests from around the globe share their expertise, experiences, and mind-bending encounters. This is the Paranormal Voice.
And that is it. It is Sunday. It is 8 p.m. And you know where everybody's favorite place is, right here in the TPV studios. I am your host for this evening. Now, of course, I am Dale, and it's good to see everybody that's out here. Thank you so much for tuning in. I can't wait to get the show started because this is something that it's just one of those topics that I've learned so much about over the last few years. And my guest today, I know he's talked about it, he's written about it, he's experienced everything. So who else could I have gotten but my fantastic guest that I have today? But before I bring him out here and start the laughs and start the amazing show, I just got, guys, it is coming up. It is just around the corner, August 15th at the historical Charlton Park in Hastings, Michigan. Ascension Con is coming upon us. I tell you, I cannot wait to get over there and hang out with these guys, and truly honored to be a part of this event. So, guys, August 15th, it is an absolutely free event to attend, to listen to all the speakers. I will be talking at 10 a.m. I know that's a lot of that is pretty early for a lot of people. And I just beg everybody, please bring me a coffee because I didn't even know the clock had a 10 a.m. But apparently it does. So now I am talking at it. And like I said, I'm more than grateful. But just before, here it is. This is the breakdown. So, like I said, at Charlton Park, Hastings, Michigan, the speakers event is absolutely free to the public. They have an event coming up on the 14th of August. It is the VIP Celebrity Galactic Murder Mystery Dinner. If you guys want tickets for that, just go over to www.mamamarythesacredcode.com, get all your information. And then Saturday, after the speakers are done, we have the Bigfoot hunt. Tickets are still available for that, I believe. I don't know if it's sold out yet. And then, of course, you can have the opportunity to have a reading gallery with the lovely Dana Stricker. She is going to be there doing that. And one thing that I'm very curious about, and I hope I can be a part of, is the DNA activation with Deb DeRusse and Mama Mary themselves. And then they have the CE5 event with Deb DeRusse. That's by donation. So, guys, a lot of things going on the 2 days, August 14th and 15th. And like I said, I hope everybody's planning on being there. It is going to be an absolutely amazing event. And we are going to be talking about more of that event coming up August 9th because I have the one and the only Mama Mary going to be present. We're going to be talking all things Ascension Con. That's going to be coming up that following weekend. With that being said, right now, let's get into this. I tell you, my guest tonight, he's been a longtime friend, a longtime mentor, a guy that I gotten to know for many, many years, and now we get to hang out and just be best buds. And I'm always grateful when he has the time to come up on stage and talk about our favorite topics. And like tonight, right now, let's go. Mr. Tim Shaw is in the house.
Hey, look at this good-looking Dale. Dale, you're just like too effervescent. You're iridescent. You know what? I should have put my sunglasses on because I just can't stand the illumination that's coming from your little block right over there. Look at you. Look at you. You're just beautiful. You're just beautiful. I'm telling you what, if I put you and Michael John, Iron Michael John, next to each other, I would not know who was better looking.
Oh, I'll tell you 100%. That is definitely Michael John. I was just up there in Sarnia, Ontario last night watching Michael John do his thing. The general manager of NCG Wrestling, or as they're calling it, the BCE era, the Bobby Clancy era of NCG has begun this weekend, and I'll tell you, watching him do his thing each and every week, I'll tell you, I cannot be more and more excited. Just so grateful to have him as a brother, have you as a brother. And like I said, I mean, me and Michael John learned everything because of you. So we have you to thank.
you better relearn that real quick, huh?
So we got a few hellos on the side. Hello, Mel W, and of course our great friends from the north. Up at Thunder Bay, Ontario, right around the fire area. I hope you guys are being safe.
Yes.
We love you guys. We're still praying for all those people that are being affected by the fire. Well, we stopped saging the United States. You're welcome. It obviously didn't work.
Not that we don't need it. Believe me. Listen. There's not enough sage in the world to sage the United States right now, and that's just the way it is.
And here is another darling friend of mine, Lisa. Actually, Lisa and Lisa are going to be up at the Hinsdale House this coming weekend. Your neck of the woods.
Oh,
so
really?
Go spook them, Tim. Go spook them. Go start knocking on walls.
I was just up there with Dustin Perry and Heather Taddy a couple.
Yeah, that
ago.
looked like a great event.
It was fun. It was always, and I hadn't been up at the Hinsdale House in a couple of years. It's funny, this is the way it works with me. This is the way it works. I had done something in the morning. I'd gone to the gym and I was running around. 1:30, I get this text from Dustin Perry. Tim, do anything tonight? Taddy and I are up at the Hinsdale House. What we'll be rendezvousing up there about 5 p.m. We're having an event. You want to come out and help? I text back. Well, so you're about an hour and a half away from me. Yeah, why not?
Well, to hang out with Dustin and Heather Taddy, I'll tell you, two amazing people, and I actually get to hang out with them at Ascension Con. So, I mean, I count my blessings for that. So, yeah, to hang out with those guys at the Hinsdale House.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you probably could write a whole book on the experiences that you've had at
I've
the
been going up there
House.
since 2011.
That was before Dan actually owned it.
Well, yeah. As a matter of fact, before Dan ever went up there, because I was up there when he first went up there. He was part of a team that was doing some videos at the time,
right,
before his video, before his show, and so that was probably a good year, 2 years before he actually went up there. And when I went up there, that place was a shambles. I mean, it was.
He's posted a lot of the house, like what the house looked like when he.
Yeah,
I mean, it was purchased it.
Windows were blown out, and I mean, it was the roof was about ready to fall in, and somebody had crawled into a crawl space, and fell through the kitchen ceiling. And the front door was kicked in. I mean, it was bad. It was bad back then. So he's done an amazing job. And as a matter of fact, I have him on my show, the Black Cat Lounge, second week in August. I just had to think when it was, but yeah, I'm going to have him on, and that's going to be a lot of fun to be able to go and just hang.
We're in trouble now, Tim. The Buffalo Phantom Hunters are.
Oh
in the
God.
house.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children of all ages, may I introduce the man, the myth, the legend from Buffalo Phantom Hunters. He is one of the most handsome, at least in his own mind, trainers in the world, and he's my personal trainer. And I'm looking right now because I have post-traumatic stress from this guy, because he'll send me a text because he's my trainer. He'll go, I don't want to tell you what to do, but, and it's like, what are you trying to kill me or what? The guy's 6'3". He's an animal. I'm an old man.
Oh my God. Coming from Frank, and I love the guy dearly. I'll tell you, Tim, before we get into talking about seances, I'm sure you heard all about John and Frank's trip down to here to Windsor, Ontario to see Michael John, Irish Bobby Clancy, do his thing in the ring one more time It was one hell of a match. He put on one hell of a match. But trying to sneak John and Frank into the building without Mike seeing them, it was just lucky enough. There's a guy who comes to the shows all the time. Big guy. His name is Les. Super nice guy. Actually, him and his son have a podcast called Big Daddy and Luke Podcast. It's all about wrestling. It's amazing. Go check them out, guys. It's truly inspiring. Luke is a up and coming. I believe he's only like 12 years old, 12, 13 years old.
Wow.
His passion for wrestling, but
Wow.
they started this podcast. So Les just was there working the door, and I said, Les, I need your help. I need you to help me sneak Frank into the building because he's the only guy I know bigger than Frank.
Yeah.
Which I never thought was possible besides Bigfoot himself. But we did it, and Michael John was so surprised.
I don't know. You can't just throw a towel over Frank.
No,
No,
you would still know who it is.
You know, he just go cruising in there. He's just he's a big boy. He's a big boy.
But anyways, let's get into the topic that everybody tuned in to talk about. Like, we can always do shows where we'll just sit here and talk
nonsense. We'll talk nonsense, Dale.
Nonsense. That's about it. So, Tim, you have been I remember. I think your very first talk I ever seen you do was all about seances. It is one of the oldest forms of spirit communication ever existed. It started back in the 1800s. By the Fox sisters. I mean, it could go earlier than that, but that's
technically.
I just remember the Fox sisters for some reason.
Yeah, technically it's earlier. Technically, we've been doing some kind of form of seance or spirit communication going back pre-biblical. You know, I mean, it's first Old Testament stuff. You know, and the Fox sisters in March 31st of, I believe it's 31st of 1848. That's when they, in Hydesville, New York, in a cottage, that's where they were getting knocks. And actually, the people who actually had lived in this cottage, because it was a rental cottage, also received all different types of knocks and kind of spooky stuff. And one night they decided to ask, you know, Mr. Splitfoot, do as I do. Meaning the devil, hey, the devil, do as I do. And she snapped her fingers, and the knocks did twice. You know, repeated exactly what she did, and that was the first start of spirit communication. From there, of course, I mean, as the story goes, they started to develop different methods of doing these sittings, and they eventually, during the Victorian age, here in the United States, and then it did sweep throughout the world. They started to work with more stylized seances, you know, the Victorian style. But yeah, I mean, it's been around for time immemorial, and I practice something that I was taught as a kid. I mean, a lot of you guys know my story. I mean, spiritualism has been in my family since the 1880s. And I would go during the summer to visit relatives down in the Lilydale Spiritualist Assembly. And Sundays, I would go to Lyceum, which is their Sunday school. And it was like, you know, it was a long day. And you had book learning, you know, just like catechism, you know, because I was brought up Roman Catholic too. And, well, you know, we were taught to serve the church. And part of the Spiritualist church. And part of that was going to a children's seance. So my style of seance is more of a hybrid Victorian. It has a lot of Victorian elements to it, but it's not 100% Victorian, because the Victorian seances, they were very flowery. They were very regimented, where I'm a little bit regimented, but you know, but we can talk about that as we go, you know. So yeah, I've been doing it a long time. And basically what happens, you know, the reason why they would teach kids, and I mean, I was a kid, you know, back in the 70s, probably 9-10 years old. And the reason why they would do that, they would teach the kids that was not to be afraid of phenomena. It's because there was a lot of things that we did. Our version of ghost hunting was called Spirit Rescue Services. Where we would go to a haunted house and try to convince the spirit. You'd be there with a bunch of mediums, and you would try to convince the spirit to move on. And that's what we did. It was pretty much like a vigil, pretty much like modern ghost hunters do now, except without all the pretty lights. And we were there to not be afraid. The children's seance was done in total light. It was done in total light in the afternoon, whereas like a regular seance, the old seances were in total darkness, which was not a good idea because a lot of people can fake stuff. But the modern seance now is done in semi-light. It can be dark, but we use like red light or green light illumination within the room. Sometimes it's just if we can't control that, it'll be just like I always have a dimmer switch with me, so if we could just use one lamp, we can dim that way down, but not total darkness. So yeah, we were basically trained to I remember stuff on the table flying off and hitting the wall behind me. And it's like, when you're a little kid, you're like, and basically what it is now it's like, Dale, you know how I am on investigations. Yeah. Funny story. Quick funny story. Dale goes, we're at the Mansfield Reformatory in a private. Dale gets scratched. He gets a good scratch on his face. I look at it and go, that ain't nothing. Don't worry about it, Dale. Don't worry about it.
Somebody a few weeks ago was asking me where I work because people are fascinated where I work, what I do. And they're like, have you ever been scratched? And I said, well, yes. And it was kind of disappointing. And they were like, why? And I said, I was at Ohio State Reformatory. So I put together like some amazing investigators because it was my first time. It was my dream location.
Yeah.
I had to bring out the best of the best. And I said, of course, I had my good friend Tim Shaw and Frank and Heather all there. And I said, we went and did this reenactment. And I said, come back. Like, it got so intense. And I said, so after it was all done, we went back to the break room. I went to the bathroom and I was just looked up in the mirror and I had this slice on my face and I didn't know where. I come running out of the bathroom and I ran right up to my buddy Tim. And I said, look, Tim, is that a scratch? And he looked and he goes, yeah, I've had bigger and deeper. I said, so, I went from this really exciting moment to deflation because I was like, okay,
don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry. That's good. That's good.
Don't worry. It's like getting shot in battle. Here's a Band-Aid.
Here's a Band-Aid.
Now get back in there.
Exactly. But yeah, I'll tell you, I love that story, and yeah, that will be a story in my book when it comes out too, because I'll tell you everything about that investigation was truly amazing, and I can live up to that one. I know we're definitely going to go back and do it again at some point.
Yes, yes, we just got to get.
Hey, maybe we should do a séance at the Ohio State Reformatory. Let's get a setup going and everything, and right out, that area that connects all the halls. the bullpen.
Yeah, the bullpen.
That I think that would be something.
We could. We could. We'd have to just clear it ahead of time. That's all.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, with Greg and Kathy and Greg, they know you so well. They know you would not do anything that would be harmful to the place itself. But always get clearance before you do this stuff, people. If you're going on vacation, don't just do stuff that might end up getting you kicked out of a location and permanently banned from that location. Oh, yeah. Because that's another thing, and that's a whole other show topic. Rules and regulations of places you go. But swinging back more on the seances. The one question I always had for you, and every time we're together, we always end up talking about everything and anything else, and I always miss my questions. what is the most common misconception that people have about seances?
You know, originally, here's the big thing. Everybody thinks it's for spirit communication. And in a way, yes, it is. But originally, if you start stripping it away, it was more for the production of phenomena. Things of the nature of like levitation, table tipping, discarnate voices, cold touches, apparitions. You know, I mean that's what it originally was for. The production of ectoplasm. And here's the problem. I mean, there's a lot of falsehoods. You know, I mean, there's two ages of spiritualism. The golden age of spiritualism, where it really blew up, and then there's the golden age of spiritualist fraud, when it became all sideshow carny tricks. And like most of the, you know, almost all the, well, I would say all the photographs that you see, all the classic photographs that you see, they're all fake. Or the Mummler photographs where you can get the spirit photography and all that. Those are all fake. Those are all fake. So a lot of it is you have to really think about it in terms of, will it produce something? Now, a lot of them you'll hear like in the Houdini seances, you know, spirit come forth, let me hear you. You know, it's like, yeah, you can. I mean, my voice gets like that sometimes, but the problem is that if nothing goes on for 20 minutes, nothing is going to go on.
Right.
And some people who are, I gotta tread lightly because I'm gonna piss people off when I say this stuff. But
go ahead, piss people off, because you know, if it hurts their feelings, then you know
it's not my first rodeo.
Yeah.
Besides, I got Frank to back me up. But
yeah.
But a lot of it is the fact that if you're a paying customer, you want to see something. So of course they're going to go and they're going to do mediumship. They're going to bring something through if they can. And it wasn't really built that way. It was more, it was more for the production of phenomena. And a lot of times they would have what they would call spirit cabinets, where a medium would sit within an enclosure. Now, like the one that I saw and I worked with at Lilydale, it was a closet, because it was a dedicated room for seance. All the windows were blacked out. There was actually black muslin or some kind of black material on the walls. It was an actual material. And there was a closet with Dutch doors, you know, the upper lower door. And you would go in there, and they said that that you would harness this energy and let the energy flow out. But a lot of times what people would do is that, you know, they would like, well, we didn't get anything, nothing happened. And that's the thing. Nothing sometimes won't happen, because there's two types of seances, Dale. There's the open seance where people just get together and do it, right. You know, where they, you know, they may, for however style, we'll talk about the etiquette in a bit. But people want to just go and, you know, they just want to go and hang out, basically what it is. And, you know, nothing happens. That's an open seance. Open seance, in very few cases, will you get a strong reaction. Now, at the Palmyra Historical Museum at the Phelps General Store, 2 years, was it last year? Last year. Yeah, because I won't be able to get it this year because I'm officiating Jason Hawes' daughter's wedding. So it was last year. We went and I did gallery for a fundraiser. And then for a couple bucks more, we went up into the Phelps apartments, which were over the store, and to do a seance. And we were using a very heavy oak table with a tablecloth on it. And I had brought like Ouija boards and all this other stuff to go. And, you know, if nothing happened in 20 minutes, people paid their money. So I want to go and I want to show them different things. And I want them to have an experience. Well, we started doing the seance, and we're doing this, you know, the science seance the way I do it, and we'll talk about it. But we put our hands on the table, and about 5 minutes later, you could feel the vibration come up through the table, and the table went 1, 2, 3, 4, and back to center. And they had a CCTV that actually caught it.
Wow.
And that was like almost unheard of, to be able to have a table of that magnitude, that heaviness, move, and it had a tablecloth on there. Most times, see, that a tablecloth prevents fakery because of the fact that you can't push down on the table, like kind of horse it a little bit. You can't do that with a tablecloth because you're only going to slide. Right. So to have that happen was pretty unique. So that's probably one of the biggest, most impressive things that I've seen in open seance. But now closed seance is where you get the same people assembled at the same place, at the same time, on the same intervals for months at a time. And you do that in order to go and sync up each other's energy. This way, because we all get together, energy is like all over the place. Everybody's unique. But when you come together for the same purpose, eventually it starts to sync up, and then it gets very strong. And that's when you start getting phenomena happening. So that's the two types of seances. And then if you want to push it even further, vigil is what paranormal investigators do. They'll go into a room and they'll set up their equipment and they'll get quiet and they'll listen and they'll be waiting for something to happen. Like at Mansfield, when we did the in the chair room, that's sort of like a vigil, because everybody went in there and there was a central point, and the energy kind of flowed kind of strongly, but there was nothing that was really, and we weren't really trying to get something. Whatever would happen happened, which was kind of interesting what happened at that too.
Oh yeah, for people who missed that one, you can go back and catch the episode where we actually had Frank, Heather, Tim, I believe Michael John Michael John wasn't there with us, but we had a few other people, and we talked about the events that happened in that room. Now that you say that now, I was like, well, yeah, that does make sense. It was kind of like a seance where we kind of all sat around. You were the center point, because you said, and the interesting part was when we were heading to that room, you said you kept hearing Tim sit in the chair.
I thought it was one of you guys. I just thought it was a male voice, and I thought it was one of you guys telling me to sit in a chair. Because, excuse me, me, I'm not. It's hard to. I know everybody's like, oh yeah, it's BS. I don't like being the center of attention. I'm probably one of the most introverted or extroverted introverts you'll ever meet. I really am, Right. And it's like, no, listen, guys, especially like, if I'm on an investigation, they want me to do something, I'll sit in the background. I'm very happy being in the background. I don't want to be up front, and I just thought it was one of you guys. I really thought it was one of you guys that told me to sit there. And then stuff happened. I'm just going to say that things happened. But that's a vigil. So, if you have somebody that does trance work, that's what happens, especially if you're in there and you have somebody that might be open to it, that's experienced in it. I mean, which I am, and then it just kind of took over, and I don't know, whatever pablum flew out of my mouth that day. I remember bits and pieces, but not the whole thing. Yeah. So, but that's a vigil. So, you just because you don't go and do the stylized seance, and we'll talk about the style whenever you're ready. Vigil can work this exact same way, because we want to make sure that you're building energy. You're trying to focus in on something.
Yeah, no, that was one of my questions was, when, like, the styles, like, it's obviously changed from the original, because back in the 1800s or even earlier, the way they did it then compared to how it's been modernized a lot, and it's done a lot differently. I mean, some similarities, I guess. I mean, you obviously need people in a circle, gathered around energies, and that's something I would like you to talk about too, is
Sure.
what do you believe that creates the best environment for a successful seance?
Open people. You got to have the right people. You got to have the right people. I always say hauntings like are, in order for a haunting or something to go on, it has to be the right person at the right place at the right time. And that's what's important. And that's why I like closed seances. That's why I really do. You got to have trust. You got to know each other. It's got to be something that you're there for a purpose. That's one of the things that you will announce is you're there for a purpose. Now we talk about seance. The Victorian age, you had different classes of people. So you had like your upper crust, and then you had you and me, middle class, and then you have lower class. Well, the lower class would do something of what I do, but the upper class, it was a whole production. You would have a visiting medium. You would have, and again, you would have servants. So everybody would be dressed in like darker clothes, women and men. You would drink red wine. You would eat. You have a whole meal. It would be like roast beef or some kind of a beef. You would have a blood pudding. You would have a dark soup, like a beef broth soup. And when that was consumed, you would take a break, get up. The servants would clear the table. Everybody would go to their respective room, especially if you had visiting guests, change into lighter clothes, like white clothes, come back down, and you would eat a second meal, a second course, which would be like a chicken, white wine, like a light pudding, like a vanilla pudding, it was so stylized. When you were done with that, the servants would clear it. You would end up going and you'd be singing religious carols or hymns around a table or around a piano. Then when the visiting medium would say, oh, I think, we're, ready. You'd go back to the table, and then you would put your hands on the table, and they would go, and he would announce, the reason to the spirits. The way he would go before anybody would do anything is, why are we here? Well, are we here for physical phenomena? Are we here for X, Y, and Z? Are we here from a message for the other side, through a discarnate voice or whatever, or wrappings? And you would have to have one purpose. And then everybody would go around the table and say the purpose. I am here for physical phenomena, let's just say. Then you would introduce yourself. My name is Tim. I am the medium here. And then you would go around the table. That helps syncs the energy. And then from there, you would go into the media or into the seance, and the medium would verbally call in, spirit, come, spirit, let us, come down to this table. Let us know you're here, either by wrappings or vibrations, or move this table or move something on the table. And I have a couple things here, and we'll just quickly, for us peasants, Dale, us cool people, the cool people were here. You would do pretty much the same thing, except you wouldn't have the big food. You wouldn't be eating. And like my teachers always said, always do this on an empty stomach. If you can do this, do it on, if you're going to eat during the day, eat very lightly. But anyway, you have different tools. Now, it's funny because I was brought up in through the National Spirit Association churches that don't allow tools, any kind of tools of divination, but you can use tools for spirit, for seance. Let me show you. These are all universal tools. This is a spirit trumpet. This is an original from the 1940s. And the reason why you can tell, it's a tin design. It's not aluminum. And you guys can see this. This is a phosphorus paint. It was dipped. Most of them now have a phosphorus ring that just slides on there. And this is what they call a student medium, or a student trumpet, because the professional trumpets, like I have one more section. And it's made to collapse so that it's easy to transport. And then it just opens up. Now you would set this either this way, or I was taught just to leave it on the table like this. And all this does is works as an amplifier. That's all this really does. I've been in seance where, when I was younger, it actually kind of levitated and it would spin and it would stop at a person. And you see the edge here.
Right.
Now you guys know, like you ever see like the hillbilly hearing aids where they would go and they put the thing up there. That's basically what this is. And you would hear whisperings come through here. You would actually hear whisperings come through here. And this is just an amplification tool. Now, my mentor, she had a crystal. This crystal, she said, all of a sudden she heard like a whirring, like a sound like that. And she heard something drop. And when she went and she grabbed the trumpet, a piece of quartz was in there. Now, one time I'm at the church at one of the churches I serve, and I have my other one, and I heard I'm like, oh, this is great. I'm gonna get something. I heard, and I go, oh my God, it finally happened. Like something aport. Aport means something that it's solid through matter. That's how that means. I went and I looked. There was nothing in it, but I did get the whirring sound. So this is the trumpet. This was manufactured probably around the 1940s, early 40s. That's what this is. So if you ever see one at a flea market, grab it. These are highly desirable.
Yeah. What is the purpose of is that so that the spirits speak into it so that we would all hear it? That's
right. It's just an amplification. Now you don't use this side for it. For whatever reason, they would say like the spirit would use this side,
right,
and then it would come through to
the small side.
So that it actually was a focused sound, a focused audio sound.
Okay. All right.
Now, another thing that you would do is you would have. This is an original piece. This is just a tambourine. This was actually made in Cuba, and it was brought back during the Spanish-American War. And it was used by a medium down in was it Salamanca or Ellicottville or Jamestown, one of those in New York, in the southern tier of New York State. And when she passed away, I was able to purchase this. And anybody that's familiar with ghost hunting knows what a geophone is. Or cat balls, whatever you want to use for an indicator of some kind of movement. Well, this would actually pretty much do that. If you start getting some kind of vibration, it would start making a sound. Now, a lot of them, in seance, they would use musical devices, and the devices actually would come off the table, and it would levitate and make noise like this. I know a couple people that do seance that actually have these hanging from fishing lines over a dedicated seance table, and you'll get that. You'll get the movement. You'll get that sound.
Wow.
Sometimes it would levitate up. I've never seen one of these levitate up, but I have heard it. Start moving. You can use a bell. Bell works the same way. Another thing that's common, excuse my grasp, is slates. And if you ever go to Lilydale, they have a big collection of slates. Slates are real kind of scary because you're not sure if they're real or not. See these? Remember, these are like just schoolhouse slates. And what they would do is, they would take these, put a piece of chalk or chalk dust here at the bottom, and then they would put them together. And now what they use is a rubber band to hold these tight, or they would just take rope or string and tie it up. They would take a black bag. Now this is not a black bag, of course, but this is the one I use. And you would put it in there, close it. And a lot of times they would put it underneath the seat of the medium, which could have fraud. I like to keep it like on the table itself,
right,
so people can actually see it. And then what will happen is at the end of the seance, if you're like concentrating on, listen, I have a question for the spirits, I need an answer. I've seen it where it said yes, whatever the question. I forget whatever the question was, but you could see it say yes. The problem is that there are a lot of magic tricks that can be used by using a false slate. And what happens is you have a a word that's already written on there. They put a false slate on there, and when they line up the two slates, they'll hit it, and the false slate will adhere to this side. And
okay.
of course, I mean, this will say yes. So you have to be careful with that. Do you know what the modern equivalent to this is, Dale? Are you ready for it?
Pen and paper?
But no, better than that. Better than that, Dale. I use an Etch-a-Sketch.
Oh, yeah.
I use an Etch-a-Sketch. And we actually did something up at the Western Block in Lockport, New York. We had an Etch-a-Sketch, put it in a bag, and we all concentrated on it, and we actually got a line.
Wow. We
had checked it beforehand, took photos of it, and we actually had where it had moved, and so, I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm saying that it's neat and you can use different things, but Etch-a-Sketches, eBay, $7. Enjoy. But
cheapest paranormal equipment you'll find.
If it's not Scottish, it's crap. Come on now. Come on. You're talking to a Scotsman. But I mean, there's a lot of different things. Now, a lot of times they did not use this all the time. They never really used, modern people kind of use like Ouija boards and that sort of stuff. And I'll use them once in a while. But what predates the Ouija board is the automatic writing planchette. And all the automatic writing planchette is a little heart-shaped planchette. And this predates the Ouija board. You put a pencil in this little tab up here and you tighten it down. This is a modern reproduction. It was made in England. And then there's casters on the bottom. And what you would do is you would take a big piece of paper and you would just, one or two people would work with it and then let it spell out or draw whatever you want. So this is something else that they would use during a vigil or a seance style. So these are just a couple of the things that you would use. But a lot of times you're really looking for that wow factor. You're looking for the wrappings on the wall or the table. You'll feel the table start to move and it'll spin and move around. You're looking for the discarnate voice. And they used to believe that the medium would get a ectoplasmic voice box that would actually form outside of the medium's larynx. And that is what would produce the different voices and the different sounds that would happen during seance. Again, this is where you want to have like lights on, because you don't want to go and, there's a lot of people that are great ventriloquists, so they can go and throw their voice or, so you got to be careful. You got to keep everybody as honest as possible. But it's really it's really a fascinating thing. And again, we always it's like having a dinner party. That's the way I always like to do it. Like, and we'll go and we'll say, listen, again, we introduce ourselves. This is the purpose of what we're doing. A lot of times we'll sing songs. And the one thing that I like to do, and the way I was taught, was there's the medium that's running it. And across from him is what they call a battery. Now, the battery is a person that's sitting there, and he's got to kind of volunteer for it, where everybody in their head, they're going to go and they're going to do get into a little bit of a meditative state. I always have a prayer, and then we kind of like settle down a little bit. And I always ask everybody to go and focus their energy into that person. That person has their hands on the table. Everybody's got their hands on the table lightly. I'm not one of the big, let's everybody hold hands. Listen, I'm not a kumbaya guy. You know what I mean? We're not holding hands. Come on,
Tim.
No.
Everybody likes holding your hand.
No. Sorry. Listen. Holding my hand, that's $25 extra. But anyway,
extra cash the next time I'm with Tim.
But I mean, you put your hands on the table lightly, and the whole idea is that you're actually focusing in and sending your energy that way. He's opening up, allowing spirit energy to flow through him and out into his hands and into the table. And the table becomes like a large battery. And again, what was neat at Palmyra, the one guy I've worked with this guy Keith for a while. He was so cute because we're there and all of a sudden we hear like, what the heck is that? Oh my God, what the heck is that? His hearing aid went off. He goes, damn it, it drained my hearing aid. I just charged these hearing aids up, and it had drained one of his hearing aids. And that was the sound, that the warning that, low
It's
battery
about. I'm all too familiar with that because my stepdad, he had hearing aids, and
Yeah.
you'd be sitting there watching TV, and all of a sudden you would just hear this loud noise, and that was the hearing aid saying, "I'm about to die. Time to change."
But I mean, that's the way it is. And we do know as paranormal investigators that it is possible that if you have a battery, that anything like a DC cell that is actually that's working, so that the power is being drained out of the cell and into a device, spirits sometimes can go and kind of wrap into that. And I'm a firm believer, and I know we've talked about it before, of static electricity. Static electricity to me is something that is amazing because of the fact that everywhere I've ever been that's been like a static storm and I was a volunteer up at Old Fort Niagara, up on the mouth of the Niagara River on Lake Ontario for a number of years, and every time we got a static storm, it really just echoed up. So I always love to have I always like to take a hiker's lightning detector with me, because if that thing starts if it starts to go in like flash red, then I know that we have static electricity in the air. But yeah, that's the stuff to do. And then basically what happens is that you're there for physical phenomena. So the medium always calls in. And again, I mean, I don't know if I can't remember if you ever heard me call in, but I start at this like low pace, and it goes up to that where, come on, let's do this, and if the table starts to move, like a lot of times we will go, and when I teach table tipping, I do it with lighter tables, and I'll be yelling, move table, move, get that table. And matter of fact, up at Hinsdale, I had the table move at Hinsdale a while ago. And again, it could be ideomotor response, which is a subliminal response of your body actually moving something and not understanding it, such as the theory behind dowsing rods. But we all have to figure out where the information is actually coming from. We actually had the table where everybody was feeling the vibrations coming up into the table itself. It was not strong enough to move, but we could feel it coming up. And I think if we had really, it was already it was a public event. So the event had closed. I think it ended at midnight. So it was already like 11:15. So, I mean, we didn't really push it to that point where it was, it could go off. Now, if we were doing, Dale, hint, if we were doing it overnight someplace, Dale, we could have really worked with that a little bit more. But it's an interesting seance. Is really interesting because I love the fact if we can get like something direct. Now, when I was I served the pulpit. That means I was working towards my ordination and my certification as a healer and as a medium. We were at a church that was built in 1911 by spiritualists for the spiritualist religion, which is an anomaly because of the fact most spiritualist churches would meet at meeting halls, Masonic halls a lot of times. And so this place has really been supercharged. And we would go and we would meet on a Monday. Was it a Monday night? I can't remember. Monday, Tuesday, during the week, but it was every week, the same time. And we ended up having seance. We started in the basement because we were supposed to be allegedly studying. We were allegedly supposed to be studying. And, of course, I mean, we all had to experiment. So we would go upstairs into the main worship area, and they had a long table. And it's like a long wooden table. I always remember that. It was about that. No, maybe a little bit wider than that, and about 7 feet long. And we were all practicing seance. And as we were working, eventually what was happening is we could hear like children singing, like a choir. and that discarnate voices. I mean, there was no source of where that would be coming from. There was a cemetery on one side, a parking lot next to us, and believe me, the people that lived in that neighborhood were not doing Gregorian chants, And then what would happen is that the back doors, it was on a two doors that were sort of like this, and you would hear one go shoo, 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 because it was on a spring load hinge, and you could hear that. And then like another time as it was building up, over time, we're talking like 3 to 4 months, you could hear footsteps, and you could hear footsteps coming up the stairs and coming into the worship area and coming down the worship, and the main thing. And then one time we were there, I was sitting there, and I was up in we were going to have seance that day, but we're getting into the right mindset, and we started meditating. We're all meditating. Now we're all up there and we got pews. Now, Dale, I don't understand why nobody would sit next to me.
I have a few reasons why people would sit next to you,
but nobody wanted to sit next to me, and it was amazing because all of a sudden I felt like this cottony sensation. Like cottony, like you could feel. If you took, the best way I could describe it is if you take a like a little baggie of water and froze it, or just filled it with water and you pushed into it. It's like if anybody does Reiki, when you cut your hands and you feel that energy come back up, and it feels like you're pushing down on something and something is lightly pushing back. That's the way it felt. But it felt like it came over the top of me, just like that. And I was like, guys, you got to come over here. Feel this. And I think it was like 5 people. I think that was only 6 people up there. By the way, we started with about 22 people, and the more things that started, the less people showed up. So we were like 6 hardcore people at this point, and everybody put their hand into it, and they could feel it. It was like putting their hand in the cotton candy. Their hand into, and it was really neat. It was I think it was one of my spirit guides, Edna, and it was really just it was an amazing feeling. So from there we went and we took the table and we sat around the table in the worship area, and it's on a rug, so it's hard to move back and forth. You got to put some beef into it. Well, this thing started moving, and it just started going. And I remember sitting there and having my hand on the table. It was going woo, 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 woo. And they always say, "Don't put a candle. Do not put a candle on the table because you're going to knock it over." Right. Because of the fact that it's going to move. Right. So these are great things that happen. And I really thought that it was just an amazing experience. Now, if everybody wants to know anything more about table tipping, on YouTube, you can go and look at something called the Philip experiments. These things happened, or contacting Philip. These things happened in the 1970s, and they recorded it. And this is an experiment in table tipping, which they went and they started. We're going to go back to the old ways, and they do like a modified seance when they do this. So if anybody is interested in doing that, but yeah, seance is fascinating. Seance is one of those things that I don't think that it's done enough, and I don't think it's done enough in the churches. I believe that people, and you have to have the right people. You have to, really know kind of what you do. It's always good to have one person that really is kind of focused, that knows what's happening. But yeah, that's what a seance is, and I love it. I absolutely love seance, even when they don't work, even if nothing happens. I love seance.
I mean, that's been a big topic, and I'm sure you've answered this question a million times. I always tell people, ghosts don't work on demand, and it doesn't matter what you're doing. But yeah, you have to have the right intention. Intention is everything. Even going into an investigation,
it is.
Your intent of what's going to be in there is going to happen as long as you have the right intention. If you go in there expecting something, I always hate the word demonic, but I mean, you're going to feel it, and people go, "Oh, look at that, we got a devil premise." It's like, no, you don't.
Listen, Dale, the only demonic thing that I've run into is usually if I stop and eat chicken wings or someplace really bad, or have gas station sushi. Those are the things those are demonic. That's when you know that we're going to be calling something bad in.
So that just kind of, we've talked about it. You've touched on it a little bit, but when, so during a séance, how can you tell if something's genuine compared to suggestion? And
Here's
that's a
the
big
thing.
topic.
Here's the easiest way to do it. Ask the same question 3 times in different ways. If you get the same answer, there you go.
Oh, easy peasy.
That really is. And that came from the late Raymond Buckland, who I knew. And that goes for if you're using a Ouija board, if you're using a pendulum, if you're using dowsing rods, ask the same question 3 different ways to get the same answer. You get the same answer, there's a good chance that you are actually working with whatever entity, or that's the truth.
Are there any risks associated with doing a séance?
Oh yeah, there's always risks. I mean, the problem is if you are just chipping at this, you got to watch it. Because there's energy. I'm not a big angel. You know me. I'm not a big angel or demon guy, but there are negative energies. There's positive energies out there. There are energetic personalities that are just assholes. Bottom line, just because you die, don't make you an angel. It doesn't work that way. If you're a jerk in life,
there goes my chance of being an angel.
Yeah, well, welcome to my world. You and I will discover if in heaven there is no beer or not. Believe me. but that's what it is. I mean, so you have to be careful.
Sure.
You can't come at this as a thrill ride. You got to be serious with it. I mean,
right.
This is something that's serious. And it's a way of doing things, and you can't expect much. You always do it for the experience of doing it rather than the results. But you have to watch it. And but the problem is it's like all these people come up to me and go, "Oh my God, I got this attachment." 9 out of 10 people did not get an attachment. 9 out of 10 people, it is up here. That's their attachment. A genuine attachment happens when there's a chink in your armor. I mean, I got one attachment in how many 30 some years and 40 years. What am I saying? More than that, 50 years. What am I saying? Jesus, 50
Probably
years.
You're dating yourself more.
Listen,
more.
I was only 19 at 50 years ago. And, it's sort of like, a lot of it is like pride. A lot of it is like, you got to watch yourself. And the bottom line is, if you want to do some like prayers of protection and all that, there's nothing wrong with it, doing it. I personally believe, and again, this comes from Ray Buckland, so you are, so you believe, and that's it. If you believe that you're protected, you are. That's why whenever I go, and I remember when I was filming for Portals to Hell, I just, boom, I'm gone, and they're running after me with the cameras. And it's like, well, don't you do anything for protection? Why? I'm protected. I'm protected. And if you do get a attachment, it's not, most of the time, it's not a long range thing. It's like 4 days. That's usually and then it kind of dissipates. But yeah, during those 4 days, you can have some stuff going on, but most of the time it's only a few days.
Oh, I know that one for sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, but it comes back to balance, and a lot of it's balance. I mean, you've been in my basement, Dale. You've seen, I've got stuff from serial killers down here. I've got haunted objects. I got all sorts of stuff down here. And you know what? I don't have a problem with it. Why? Because I believe that it is all neutral. I believe that it's all great. I mean, I'll go and I'll cleanse them a little bit, but I mean, it's like, I don't have anything that, there's nothing negative. And I get stuff sent to me with little tags. This thing has caused illness and death. It's like, really? So I keep the tag and then I go and I pack that up going, oh, this is a good look what I got on this. This is fantastic.
Toy. Yay.
Dale,
and Nan's over there shaking her head going, no.
Not more. Dale came down here one time. Dale was in the States and he stopped at the house. He came down here and Dale, I probably got more stuff than when you were here.
I see a new one sitting behind you over there, that crystal head.
That crystal head actually came from Bruce Tango, Dave Tango's dad.
Oh, nice.
He sent me that. Yeah, he was. If anybody remembers, he was on Ghost Hunters for a few episodes here and there. he actually sent me that. That was so nice of him to do that. But yeah, I mean, I got, it's like people confuse like Séance and Ouija boards and all that. They don't understand that it all works the same when you're standing there with a recorder. I'll never forget this guy, this local guy up here. We'll just call him Mr. Science. And Mr. Science says, I have this recorder right here, and it is better than anything else out there. What do you mean? Well, because I don't have to worry about anything negative happening. I said, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Well, you use a Ouija board. You're opening up a portal. Well, I guess so. I guess that's basically what you were doing. Well, all I got to do is if I run into the problem, all I have to do is shut my recorder off, and I'm done. It's like it doesn't work that way because you're using a recorder and you've opened up a portal and you're kind of opening it up for like this two-way communication. I don't want to, so it's like I mean, you have to kind of it's the devices are different, but the basics are the same. And that's the way we have to look at it. I mean, me, I love doing the old school stuff. I mean, for two reasons. First of all, I'm old and I don't want to pack in all this stuff in a backpack. Look, I look like a homeless guy heading to the shelter with this backpack full of stuff. Now I like, I like a little camera bag. I buy at like some, thrift store, and I'll pack, just some basics in there. And I love to use, everything else. I love to be able to go and use pendulum and dowsing rods. I love doing that stuff. And even like if I can, if I'm going to do Ouija board, for whoever was going up to Hinsdale this weekend, there's a Ouija board in the one downstairs bedroom, and I donated that. So if you want to play, it's good. It's a good, it's
it's been cleansed and taken care of.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know who's used it since I've dropped it off, but but I mean, yeah, there's one there. But I mean, I like using the older stuff, and I think what I like about it more than anything else is that it holds on to a tradition. Right. And I mean, me, I love traditions. I love preserving folk ways and stuff, because all the different locations that that I volunteer at. And I think it's so important that we go and we learn the basics of the old ways and then apply them to the new, using our new equipment. Because if you start looking at the differences, like in Séance and all the investigations, they're all about the same. It all works about the same way. It's just that I don't have fancy lights and things that go beep. Over here, I've got a tambourine and I've got a little bell. And if something goes flying off the table, well, everybody, and also, everybody's got to have the pens too, just in case something goes flying off the table. We have to be prepared for that. But I mean, the idea is that it's all the same. It works the same way. We just have to be able to go and again, you open a session with a as anything else, like a Séance, Ouija board, whatever you're doing, dowsing rods. Open a session, however you want to open it, and just announce you're opening the session. And at the very end, like a Séance, you close it. You say, this Séance is now closed. I'm going to count back from 5 to 1. Any spirits that are here, everybody must go back. Thank you so much for being here, whether or not you got interaction or not. Right. And it is closed. And some you can do a prayer or whatever. Right. So, I mean, it's very important to open and close.
Yeah, no, I mean that should be. I mean, that's also respectful for the location too. Like, I know at the end of any location that I've ever been at, it's before I walk out the door, I always turn around and say thank you, even if we've had like 1 interaction, 0 interactions, because you want to say thank you for allowing me into your space and for whatever you were able to give me. Exactly. And it shows respect. Exactly. And when you go back to that location, I always say, the energy, the ghosts, the spirits in that location will remember you.
It's a sync. It's a sync. You sync into it. Yeah. And you know what? The other thing is that we're talking about if we're talking about spirit personalities, energetic personalities. And if the soul goes on, if the mind goes on, the brain, the memories, whatever, the ego goes on, they were once human. So you want to be able to be as polite as possible, unless you're, of course, you've got a purpose. If you're like when we did at Mansfield, we did a recreation. We were not poking the devil. We were being not respectful, but we are recreating something that happened, a moment in time, to trigger something, rather than going out there and just being an asshole, to these spirits. But at the end, we stopped. And what did we do? At the very end, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you for interacting. Even though it said it wanted to kill Frank. And it would wait for him. Don't worry. You can stay overnight. Frank would.
No, anytime Frank goes back, they'll still be there hanging out waiting for him.
Still remembers him. But the idea is that, we weren't, at the very end, we announced, thank you. Right. Thank you for interacting with us. Thank you. This was a reenactment. This was not provoking you in any way, but thank you so much. And a lot of people don't understand the triggering and how that works. And Frank and Heather have a great talk. If anybody ever gets a chance to hear them talk on provoking versus reenacting, I really go to it, because too many people don't understand the difference. I mean, TV shows never showed. Well, they did. Actually, they did. A couple of them actually did recreation, and they never really explained the difference between provoking and recreation. And I mean, that's just the way it works. And if you ever worked with an exorcist, I mean, I've worked with two. They provoke the hell out of whatever is there. Some of them are pretty brutal, but they're there for a higher purpose. So they're doing it for a purpose. But I mean, we're not, I'm not here looking for, Beelzebub to come out and do a jig with me. I mean, those days are over, unless he's got bagpipes, and then I'll think about it. But he's got bagpipes, all bets are off.
Tim's right in there. So one more piece of advice: anybody who's never been a part of a seance, thinking about doing a seance, what final piece of advice would you give them in preparing themselves to go in and experience this for the first time?
Always make sure that the person that's running it has experience. I mean, I've had mentorships. I mean, again, from when I was a kid, I've had great teachers. And then over the years, I'd Sharon Klingler and so many, oh my God, so many of them are passed on now through the Lilydale Assembly. And through the National Spiritual Association of Churches. So I've had a lot of mentorships, and I've had a lot of great teachers that have tweaked a lot of things that I've done. So always look to make sure that this person has some kind of training in it. The worst thing now, I mean, I've had psychics do. I've sat in with psychics that did seance, and a matter of fact, it was actually at a church, a now defunct church up in Niagara Falls. And all of a sudden, people were jumping up and they're vibrating like they're shakers, and people weeping uncontrollably. And I mean, it was getting out of hand. So, and that the person had no clue how to do it, and I was bringing people back, trying to bring them back. I was at one where a woman said, it was with Deb DeRuse's old shop. A woman said that, I forget, it was a serial killer. I don't know if it was Dahmer or somebody. Was there present. I mean, she was like, and you have to bring them back. You have to understand, you have to look in their eyes and start them to get controlled breathing and listen to me. And you got to bring them back down, and you need somebody that knows how to do that. So just be careful of what, the person that's doing it. Now, vigil is a whole different thing. You guys can apply the elements of seance to vigil. But it's, again, if it's not, if you're just trying to get some kind of interaction, then that's fine. But I mean, you really should really kind of just make sure that when you're doing it, the person that's with you or the team that's with you, somebody has to have some kind of, I don't want to say long-term, because in this day and age, long term, you know what that is? 7.5.8 minutes. That's long term. Oh, here's your certificate. You're ready to go, man. But has a couple, maybe a couple of years underneath their belt. Just have, and they must have some kind of common sense, which leaves you and me out of this whole thing.
I
And
was
Frank,
like, yeah, I'm not running any seances anytime, so don't you worry about that one. I'll leave that one to the people like you, Tim, that can control things, because I would just wreak havoc. Thank you so much. It's been an amazing hour talking to you about one of the oldest forms of spirit communication that we know of. It's always good to have your opinion on it. I truly appreciate it. Before I let you go, let's do some boot dropping and promote everything you're doing, where you can be found. Try to keep it below like an hour if you can, because I know for somebody who always claims he's retired, he's the most busiest retired guy I know.
Well, I am actually. I actually have slowed down this year. I really have. But you can find me at timothytshaw.com. That's my website. I'm usually on every Tuesday at 8 p.m. the Black Cat Lounge, where the elite meet next to the dumpster transfer station. And we always have great guests. This weekend, I'm not going to have a show because I'm going to be speaking at the Lockport Library at 6:30. And I wouldn't be back in time in order to do the show, unfortunately. But we're doing a metaphysical event down in Erie at the end of August. September, I'll be on Saturday at the Cleveland Paracon. I will be doing, a matter of fact, I will be teaching and doing seance at the Forsyth Tavern, which is an 1808 tavern that saw a little bit of action during the War of 1812 in Cambria, New York. We're also going to be doing I'm going to be doing actually a ghost hunt, and both of these are fundraisers. I like to do fundraisers to help people. So that's to help that location. I've got other gigs in September and October. I'll be insane. But again, I will be officiating the nuptials of Satori Hawes and Cody DeBaines, who are two of my just dear friends. And I'm just going to be up in Massachusetts doing that. But we've got some other stuff going on, and I'm not sure what else. You know what, Dale? One of these days, we got to just like sit down, get a hold of Lunker and Lunkerette, and get everybody together, and bring Iron Michael John into the room, and just go and just sit down and just break some bread, have some laughs, and do some investigations. That is actually fun. I know Michael John and Frank have been talking about getting me and Mike up to the Western Block again to be a part of the chopping block. So that's going to be. I forgot the chopping block. Chopping block is a phenomenal cooking show that touches upon the paranormal, but it's a lot of like history. It's a lot of like true crime, while the amazing Frank Kupka and Her Highness Princess Heather try to go and cook for us using hot plates and everything else that we can do. And we always and we all sit there and we do little novenas. We all pray, go, dear God, please let Heather not cut her fingers while they're cooking. But it's just a fun show. The shows we've been doing about a half hour. I think it's going to be going up to 45 minutes, so they can get the more in-depth cooking and more in-depth history. But it's so much fun. We have so much fun doing it. It's filmed at the Western Block in Lockport, New York. And, I'm just going to tell you, we work for food, Dale. We work for food. If Frank's cooking, we just sit there and we eat. That's it.
Oh, can't wait.
Money. That's it. The studio is there.
I agree with you, Frank. I will be up at the Western Block this October when they do their family kids thing that they do throughout the weekends and month of October. I got to work out some dates with you on that one for sure. So I will be up there doing that because that's always a fun event for the Paranormal Voice to be a part of. But Tim, it's always a pleasure, and I look forward to the day just sitting down, talking, eating, and just reminiscing. And yeah, we will kidnap Irish Bobby Clancy and bring him up there, just because I know he needs a day off too.
That's right. But you know what's going to happen before we can eat?
You got to work out.
We got to do it, baby. We got to do it.
Got to hit the gym together.
Got to be some Lunkermania running wild.
Absolutely amazing. So, Tim, thank you once again. I love you. Thank you for all your knowledge and all your wisdom that you bring each and every time you're on the show.
Love
of course, it's always a great hour to hang out with you. We could just do a show and just invite Frank, Heather, Mike, and a whole bunch of people. Just have a chatter room and just talk. And I mean, it would be an amazing episode.
It would be scary.
So with that being said, thank you to everybody on the side. I appreciate you. I love you. And thank you for all the feedback that you guys get to me each and every week. Coming your way next week, I have a brand new guest, somebody I have never met before, but they reached out to me, wanted to be a part of the show. So I was like, absolutely. So I'm just trying to, Melissa McCarthy's coming your way. She is from, I want to say, Minnesota area. So she's going to be on talking about her paranormal experience. She has had talks with Bigfoot and everything. So one of our favorite topics. So Melissa McCarthy's coming up next week. Tune in for that. Frank Shaw. Tim Shaw. You can catch him each and every Tuesday night on the Black Cat Lounge. One of the most amazing shows that I know, show that inspired this show to begin with. So catch him on the Black Cat Lounge. If you do get an opportunity to catch him at one of his events, absolutely do so. Truly inspiring each and every time. And in meantime and in between time, like we always say, happy hauntings, everybody.